Hello, and welcome to Ice is Slippery, an unserious podcast about hockey brought to you by 1.5 hockey fans. My name is Kate, and I'm the hockey fan.
And my name is Fred. I'm half a hockey fan.
Good morning, Fred. How are you today?
I'm good. Real good.
Good. Yeah. I'm glad to hear it.
I'm more awake than I have been for the last 4 or 5 episodes.
That's true. You didn't have to get up for like a 5 a.m. class or whatever time it was.
Yep.
So you were like still in bed when I woke up, or you were in bed again when I woke up?
I was in bed again. That's how I roll. I get up, I go take a nap, and then I come back to bed.
That's the way of life, and you're 40.
Yep. So, I don't know. It was a good week. I felt a little disconnected from hockey this week, but I felt like I needed to be.
You know, I think it helped that we're into round 2 now, so there's a lot less hockey. There's half as much hockey as there was last week.
There is, and I feel like I watched half as less of the half as less.
You're very good at math.
Yeah, I watched that much.
Yes, that's a good amount of hockey.
I watched a quarter of hockey this week.
Yes, you did not watch very much, and that's okay. Sometimes you just need a little break.
Yeah.
That's why you have me, because I'll watch all the hockey.
Yeah, I'm ready for the third period of the second round, basically.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I have actually been starting to watch a little extra hockey, so...
Sure. That does not surprise me.
Well, you've probably heard me talking about Worlds this week. I don't know if you know what I mean by that.
Yeah, there's other hockey going on.
Right. So basically, it's the IIHF Ice Hockey World Championships, and it's kind of like the Olympic, hockey. Basically, it's like the national teams playing, but it's an annual tournament.
Okay.
So
this isn't like the 4 nation, like this isn't like every 4 years they do work. They're doing this all the time.
Yeah. Every year, this is the thing. All the national teams do it, and it overlaps with the end of NHL season / playoffs.
Yep.
So NHL players do participate, but generally only if their teams have been eliminated in like at the end of the regular season or in the first round.
Okay.
So a lot of times you don't necessarily get the bigger name players. But this year, it's kind of exciting for Team Canada because you have both Sidney Crosby and Nate MacKinnon there together. The last time they played together at Worlds, I think they've only ever done it one other time, and it was in 2015.
Wow.
When Nate MacKinnon would have been like 19 or 20, so probably in like peak Sidney hero worship.
So it's been a long time since they've been terrible on their NHL teams.
Right. Well, since both of their NHL teams have been terrible at the same time.
Right.
There have been years, I think, where both have been eligible to go, but for both of them to go at the same time, pretty wild.
Yeah.
And then Marc-Andre Fleury, who just retired from hockey, has decided to go too. And he's never played at Worlds before. So this is his first time getting to do it. Yeah. Which is awesome. He said basically he retired and he got home and the kids were crazy. And he was like, I got to go play hockey again.
Yeah.
So, which obviously he's kidding around. But
he's probably the biggest name on Team France.
He's on Team Canada. He's French Canadian. There is a difference. I know you know that, being from where you're from.
That's true.
So, but it's also a nice reunion with Sidney Crosby because they played on the Penguins together for a long time.
Yeah.
And there's also Macklin Celebrini there because he was not with the 4 Nations face-off. So he is there too. And he's been getting to play with Sidney Crosby, which is very exciting for him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm like the guy in the meme with the 2 girls, and like the one girl is NHL playoffs, and then I'm looking over my shoulder at Worlds. I'm like, ooh, this is exciting because like Travis Konechny is there.
We love him.
Yeah, Canada played Latvia this morning, and TK scored 1 goal off of an assist from Travis Sanheim. So the Travi are flourishing.
All right, that's good. They get to have some fun in the summer.
Yes, TK also scored a shorthanded goal because he's our shorty king. Macklin Celebrini scored a goal off of a primary assist from TK and a secondary assist from Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
And then also the 3 of them were involved in a scrum, and Sidney Crosby punched a guy's helmet off. Wow. So yeah, TK cross-checked somebody in the back and he got swarmed, and Sidney Crosby was like, nuh-uh, and went in there and started throwing punches. So it was very exciting. I liked it.
This is like a good mini-series for people that need more hockey in their lives.
Exactly. Well, because, there's like a time difference. They're playing overseas right now. So is it like, I think 6:20 a.m. our time or something like that? Or no, that was the U.S. game. This was a little later because I was just getting updates recently. But yeah, no, it's nice and early in the day. So it's great. I have hockey all the time.
Hockey in the morning, hockey in the evening.
Hockey at supper time. When hockey's on a bagel, you can have hockey anytime. Very much dating myself with this reference.
Oh, man. I think that's burned into people our age's brains. Like,
it's like a sleeper agent phrase.
Right.
Yeah. The pizza bagel.
And then we just find ourselves, I don't know. I don't even know if I've ever had a pizza bagel. Maybe once.
I'm pretty sure I didn't. I don't think
I've certainly
my
sang
mom
that.
would have gone for that.
Yeah. I've certainly sang that ditty at least 1,000 times, though.
Yeah, pretty much as soon as anybody says the phrase in the morning, it's just pizza bagel jingle time.
Hockey bagel.
Hockey bagel. So yeah, no, it's been really kind of nice to watch that and to see players who haven't had a chance to play together in a while or at all kind of, get together. So
yeah, no, that sounds fun. Is it like a requirement that Canada plays Latvia like always? Like, I feel like that's all I've heard in like the last 2 years, like Canada, Latvia.
No, I don't know how the tournament seating works, but I'm pretty sure that there's not like a bylaw that's like Canada must play Latvia in this round. So,
and then it becomes dramatic towards the end, right?
Probably. I don't know. I do know that Canada won the game 7-1. So,
well, that wasn't very dramatic.
That wasn't, despite Canada struggling on the power play. So,
oops. All right.
Well, there was some other NHL news this week, which we haven't really talked about for a couple of weeks, but
it's been no news, just straight
playoffs.
Yep.
But now that some of the teams are gone, there's a little room for news.
Yep.
So the NHL decided to show us how they determine the order of the draft lottery, and I think we're in consensus that we would like them to stop showing that.
Yeah, right. It's like, oh, we're going to bring it out from behind the door. It's like, no, put it back right behind those doors. We don't need that.
Yeah, you came out and you were like, wait, you're not watching them draft people. You're watching them draft ping pong balls. And that's pretty much what it was. And they tried to kind of explain how it worked, but it didn't really make much sense.
Yeah, Bushy there was like, he explained it like at the start of the thing, and it was so confusing that I zoned out, and then it was going, and he kept trying to like explain it a little bit, but it made no sense. And, Gary Bettman was there, so that
never adds anything to the conversation.
Only going to take things away. and then they're like, I don't know, they're like Brink's like armored car like style of doing it. Was that supposed to add excitement? Because like waiting for a ball for another 30 seconds made no sense.
Yeah, like a 30-second countdown before you pull another ping pong ball.
After the ball's been in there for like a minute and a half while they're yammering on about bullshit.
Well, it's like, remember in the 90s, like when commercials and like local news were like a thing and they do like the lottery ball draws on the air?
Yeah, they still do that.
Maybe they still do that.
No, they
still
do
that?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it was like that, but they're like, how do we do that and make it way more boring and take it way longer?
Right.
So, but anyway, the New York Islanders have the first pick this year. So congratulations to you guys, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And they had to pick 4 balls before they would get to a thing or whatever. And then like on the 4th ball, they'd cut away and not tell you for like 45 seconds. You'd be like, we already know who it is, guys. We're like telegraphing it the whole time. If it's 7, it's going to be so-and-so. I don't know. Absolute waste of my time.
It was not very time beneficial.
Go back to having it be rigged because that sucked.
Yes. No, it wasn't good. Nobody liked it.
Nobody liked it.
Everyone was like, why are we watching this? And yet we watched because hockey.
Yeah. And it was so short. It was over. They didn't even announce it being over. They're like, all right, here's the game. And I'm like, is that it? And it's like, oh, yeah, I guess all the other ones just end up where they end up.
Well, yeah, we were watching it on ESPN Plus, and then it like went to a commercial, and then it just said your event has ended. And like they didn't even tell us like who got the final top spot. So we had to go to regular ESPN, and then it was still going on over there, but kind of like they just showed the aftermath. And we're like, okay, great. That was totally a valuable use of our time.
Yeah.
That we would have just been sitting on the couch anyway, but we could have watched Jeopardy and like enriched ourselves.
Yeah. I don't need that shit. They can stream that shit on Twitch for the tin hat crowd that needs to see it.
There you go. Put it on YouTube for
live on YouTube
for the that one Philly fan who has lots of opinion. So some other big news this week: the Utah No Names finally have a name,
and everyone was surprised.
And everyone was very surprised because they definitely didn't give away the name last week when they briefly changed their YouTube channel to the Utah Mammoth.
Yep.
And then everyone was like, wait, it says they're the Utah Mammoth now. Do we think that's their name? And they're like, whoops, never mind.
Yeah.
And made that go away. And then like a week later, they're like, hey, surprise, we're the Utah Mammoth now. Not the Mammoths, the Mammoth.
Okay. The Mammoths, not the Mammoths.
Not the Mammoths, the Mammoth. Singular, because they're a team. And so they're unified.
Yeah.
But like, there's only one mammoth. And if there were multiple mammoths, then that would be a team. I don't know what they're talking about, but.
Yeah. It's not the Nashville Predator.
Right. Exactly. They're the Nashville Predators.
which would sound even worse.
That would sound even worse. That sounds
just
like
one specific predator.
Yeah, it's like the Swiss cheese pervert, but it's the Nashville Predator. You true crime people know what I'm talking about. So
I actually flipped into that when it was live on YouTube, the announcement of the mammoth.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Well, Gary Bettman was there.
Oh, so once again, nothing was added.
Oh, they need to. I think I made a note. Hold on. What did I write? I wrote, stop letting Gary Bettman.
All right.
Stop letting him.
Just stop letting him.
No.
Just don't let him.
No.
He doesn't need to be let.
No. And then when they went to the reporters, they're like, does anyone have any questions? The reporters were like, quiet. And they're like, oh, good. No questions. Well, that was easy or something. And then some suck up dude who is like, the guy at work that's like going to always interject when things get awkward and shit. And he was like, what was your most favorite part of this process? That was his literal first question.
Wow. Oh, man.
Shit was brutal. Anyway.
Definitely the fifth year college student taking the intro to philosophy class.
My favorite part was the legal battle with Yeti.
Right? Oh, boy. And what did we think of the logo?
I love the logo.
Okay, there you go.
I think it's cool. I mean, the colors we already kind of knew.
Yeah, the colors are fine. They're a little, I don't know, like builder contractor gray to me. I mean, I know they're blue, but they're like in that sort of vicinity.
Yeah. Yeah, they're okay. I mean, it does look like a variation on the Predators logo.
Right. Yeah, they do have a resemblance.
There's certainly a resemblance, but I don't know. The tusk is pretty cool. Someone pointed out that it kind of looks like a U almost, which is kind of neat. The mountains are cool. So, it's technically like kind of an elephant, and I have a thing for elephants.
You do like elephants. It's true.
So that's cool, but it's Utah.
It's Utah.
And we've been there.
We don't
need to go back there.
There's some nice rocks.
Got a lot of nice rocks.
That's about all we got going.
It's drier than here.
It is, and that's pretty dry. Some other fun news is that Mitch Marner has become a father.
Yeah.
Just a few months after Tyler Seguin became a father. Mm-hmm. These are both very weird to me because when I got into hockey, they were both tiny baby children.
Right.
And Mitch Marner is perennially 15 years old in my mind.
He has an energy about him.
He has a young face, and also just doesn't seem like he knows how a garbage disposal works. Like he seems unequipped for the world around him a little bit. And then Tyler Seguin will always be like slutty naked Zamboni guy,
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter how grown up he is.
I don't know, man. That guy's got wisdom all of a sudden.
He has wisdom, but it's slutty wisdom.
Yeah.
So
I don't know that Marner has wisdom.
No.
All of a sudden.
Not a crumb, not a drop, not a tiny little morsel of it. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But what I do find funny is how different they are. They both had kind of the same response to their wives giving birth, which Mitch Marner was quoted this week as saying, "My wife was an absolute beast." Mm-hmm. And some people are like, oh, imagine talking about your wife that way. Listen, for hockey bros, that's the highest compliment that you can pay.
Oh, for sure.
And I would love it if somebody had called me an absolute beast after I had a kid.
Yeah, yeah.
Having kids is really hard.
Yeah, I don't know what I said, but I did not say you were an absolute beast.
Right. But I'm sure you probably thought something along those lines.
I don't know. I was busy getting a sandwich.
That's true. That's true. And that was for me because I demanded one. I was basically, they got the kid out and I was like, go get me a sandwich. And you were like, yes, ma'am.
I need deli meat now.
I wanted deli meat and caffeine so bad. And you delivered after I delivered. See, look at us.
Oh, and by the way, happy Mother's Day and shit.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. I forgot it was Mother's Day.
Shout out to the moms.
Yeah, shout out to the moms. Shout out to all these hockey moms having babies. Yep. But yeah, no, Mitch Marner and Tyler Seguin both have said about their wives, like, yeah, hockey is tough and everything, but like, have you watched a woman give birth? Like, that's gnarly. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't understand anyone having a problem with that quote. Like, people talk different ways.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. What is there some sense of decorum with like,
I'd get a t-shirt that said absolute beast if somebody said that about me. So,
right.
Yeah, I think it's great. And then just a little thing. This is actually from last week. So in the excitement of talking about Mikko Rantanen's revenge hat trick against his former team, I completely forgot to talk about Leon Bischel becoming a folk hero.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that happened.
I was so mad when I realized that. So in game 5 of round 1, Stars against the Avalanche, Leon Bischel was doing Leon Bischel things, laying down big hits, being real cool.
Yep.
And at the end of the game, there was like a little skirmish and some shoving went around and a bunch of people got sent to the box, including, I think it was Bish and Sam Steele, got sent for 10-minute misconducts or whatever, went to the box.
Mm-hmm.
So Bish is sitting in the box, just kind of chilling out, and they show him on the Jumbotron, and the crowd just starts cheering and losing their minds. And he doesn't realize what they're cheering for at first. And then he looks up at the Jumbotron, and he realizes that they're cheering for him, and he gets this big, like, sweet, like, bashful smile on his face.
Yep.
And then he, like, cups his hand to his ear and is like, all right, let's hear it. And then they lose their minds and cheer even more.
Yeah.
And then he kind of, like, twirls his finger in the air and is like, all right.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was so cute. It was like the cutest, like, cocky pump it up I've ever seen.
It is. And anybody that had a problem with it, I'm not interested in what they have to say.
No, that's absolutely stupid.
And Duchesne seemed to have a problem with it slightly. And I was like, stop being a nerd, Duchesne. Just let the kid be. He's like, what? He's going to look back on some of these younger moments and regret them. I'm like, no, he's not. That was fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah. No, he was. I don't think like Duchesne personally had a problem with it. He was afraid it was going to like fuel the Avs to come back and, you know, I mean, they did win game 6, but I don't think that had anything to do with Fish. And it just had everything to do with our play. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that's about all I had for news. Anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, I don't have any items of note. Oh, there is a Bischel t-shirt with him doing that with his ear, right?
There is.
And it's official, too.
It is official. It's licensed merch, and it says Feisty Bish.
Yeah.
And I have not bought it for myself.
I don't know why. You send me the link to it. I don't know why it's not in your cart and already ordered, but that's on you. You do it. You do you.
Well, I don't know. I pretty much half of my wardrobe is Dallas Star stuff. I'm trying to be somewhat of an adult.
I guess. I don't know. Mine's turning into mostly like guitar t-shirts and shit.
That's true. Yeah. I guess maybe we're never going to be adults, and that's okay. All right. Well, let's talk about the playoffs, shall we?
Yep.
All right. So we're going to start in the East again. So the Panthers versus the Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
I think we kind of all thought that maybe the Panthers were going to come in and just steamroll the Leafs a little bit.
I think we did.
I hoped it wouldn't happen.
I was neutral, but now I'm glad it hasn't happened.
Yeah, you're kind of...
I'm pro-Leafs.
You're pro-Leaf.
I'm all in.
You're all in on the Leafs.
They're looking reasonably okay.
They are. They're doing pretty well. They're scoring lots of goals.
I don't love when I see them play defense, but, you know, that's okay. You can still win a game with leaky defense, I guess.
Listen, I'm inured to bad defense at this point. Like, I've developed an immunity to it. You can't, like, defense doesn't exist to me.
Yep.
So if your defense is non-existent, that's fine. I didn't see it anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I've never been like a huge Leafs fan, obviously. I generally find them boring with the moments, the flashes of brilliance with the core 4 or whatever.
Right.
But I am all in. And I hope I wish it was a 4-0 sweep on the Panthers at this point.
Yeah.
Which isn't going to happen, obviously. But
right.
Anyway.
Well, yeah. And it sucks because we've enjoyed watching the Panthers in the past. Like, they're a fun team to watch.
Yeah.
Do they play on the edge? Yes. And we have definitely in the past called that out. But we once again have an issue where Sam Bennett has hit somebody in the head.
Yeah.
And this time it was the Leafs goalie, Anthony Stolarz.
Yeah.
You know, he elbowed him in the head in game 1 of the series. And at first he seemed okay. But then during the TV timeout, he went over to the bench and started throwing up and was pulled out of the game and then ended up leaving for the hospital on a stretcher, which is not great.
No, it's not great.
No, not a good sign. I'm not a medical professional, but I know a few things that's not very good.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously he's like, it was an accident. I just bumped him while I was playing the puck. But like, my dude, like, you have a pattern. There's a pattern. And I don't think, no, I did I see this game? I might have been watching this one. You were.
Yeah, I was. And I went back the next day because all the clips were on the YouTubes of it happening. And I don't know. I didn't see it. I don't know anything about like actual hockey.
Right.
But bottom of the barrel YouTube comments, absolute trash. Like, don't ever go in there and look. But I have a unhealthy problem doing that, and I can't not look.
Yes.
Everybody who seems to know anything about hockey was like, that's a dirty hit. And there were like 4 people who were like, So I'm going to just say that was a dirty hit.
When pretty much everybody can agree that it's a bad hit, it's a bad hit.
Yeah.
The only people who did not agree, apparently, were the Department of Player Safety, because they did not give him any kind of discipline for it.
Which no one was surprised about with them and their relationship to the Panthers as well.
Correct. And yeah, it's just stupid. It's idiotic. And I just don't like it. I don't like it at all.
No, that kind of really did me in. And, you know, I don't know. And people can think whatever they want. And that's what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
And, you know, this isn't anything I'd want to debate anybody in person about, but here's what I think.
Yeah. Since we have microphones and nobody in front of us to say anything back to us.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah, no, I was very interested. And then, you know, the next day or whatever, they posted the Bennett interview and the Paul Maurice interview. And I tell you what, the vibes were off on those interviews.
Yeah.
I've never seen a Paul Maurice interview like that before. The vibes were off, and it felt like he was just towing a company line because he had to, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But nobody challenged me on it.
Yeah, no, it's no, the vibes were not good.
No.
And I did like Craig Berube after the game. They were like, "So what'd you think about that hit?" He was like, "Elbow to the head, clear as day." Next. Like he was like, and he knows the thing about like elbows to the head, right? Yeah, he was a pretty physical player back in the day, and he liked to, you know, fight and stuff. And, but apparently he just told his team just move on and like just play hockey. And so far it seems to have worked okay, because the Leafs did win game 1, the one where Stolarz exited. They won 5-4. And then they won game 2, 4-3. So they did have to bring in their backup. Well, actually their primary goaltender, Joseph Woll. Technically, they kind of have a goaltending tandem, I guess, there.
Yeah.
I think Woll is officially the starter, but they brought in Stolarz. It's like a really strong backup because Woll has kind of an issue with staying healthy.
Yep.
So really, if you look at their stats, they've played, I think Woll has played like 10 more games, but their win-loss record is pretty similar. You know, they have pretty similar stats all the way across. Stolarz has just been starting in the playoffs because he's been on a hot streak at the end of the season, and they just wanted to kind of keep riding that.
Yeah.
So, but Woll did okay, you know, coming into the first game cold.
Yeah, they ended up winning. They were up a lot more before he came in.
I think they were up 3-1 when he came in, and then the final score was 5-4. So there were definitely issues, or maybe they were up 4-1.
Yep.
And then, yeah, you know, the second game, it was a back and forth game too.
Yep.
The third game was Friday, and Stolarz is still out. So that's really concerning.
We don't like that.
No, we don't like that at all.
No, he did skate at like a practice or something like 2 days after, but obviously didn't show up.
Right, exactly. So yeah, that was another game where it was just really back and forth and pretty tight. And it just kind of came down to who scored the goal last.
Yeah,
you know,
basically
ultimately.
like watching basketball.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much like a basketball game. That one actually went into OT. And of course, Brad Marchand scored the game winner for that one.
Yep.
And that gave the Panthers their first win of the series.
Right.
So, but the Leafs are still up 2-1 in that series.
They are.
Which is nice. And I like that for them.
Yeah, I thought they looked, as I've already said, I thought they looked good. And I think Matthews specifically kind of looks better than I usually expect. Like, I don't know. They definitely, the defense though, oh my God. I just close my eyes when they're down there.
No, like Mitch Marner has had some great offensive plays, and then he had like a defensive meltdown the other day that led to a goal against. And,
yeah, where he just like stopped skating and watched the goal go in.
Yeah.
Stopped hustling back.
I'm like, Mitch, why would you do that?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about with like bad defense.
Yeah.
There's Chris Tanev can't do it all himself.
I know. Like he can do a lot himself.
Right.
He's wonderful, but he's only one man.
Yep.
With very few teeth.
And I will say I had no knowledge or other than like the name Nyes.
Matthew Nyes, yes.
I like him.
He's great.
He's doing great.
He's doing really well.
He's out there crushing it. Absolute beast.
The absolute beast, just like Mitch Marner's wife. His neck is crazy.
Is it?
Like his trapezius muscles or whatever, like it's insane.
Nice.
So
I still don't even know what he looks like. I'm trying to picture his face right now. That's how much I don't know him, but I'm very impressed with him during the playoffs.
No, he's been really good. He's, younger. I think he's coming up as like a restricted free agent. So they are going to have to give him some monies, I think, but we'll see how that goes.
Man, if they get out of the first round, they need to give all these guys more monies. Well, no, they can't.
They can't.
They need to at least keep Marner and not have him go to the Sharks or whatever people want.
People want to get rid of Marner. They think he's not worth it, but I'm sorry. I like him. I think he's good.
Yeah. No, you always have.
I always have. I think he's a good hockey player, whatever.
You waxed rhapsodic about him prior to the podcast last year. Like you've always been
I'm a Marner defender.
You're a Marner stan.
Marner. I wouldn't say that. All right. But yeah, overall that series, I think it's safe to say we're pro Leafs. And I do think they have a chance. The Panthers have looked inconsistent.
Yeah. No, I think the Panthers don't look like themselves. And yeah, and I didn't love them versus Tampa either. I mean, I don't like watching a Tampa game, but I didn't like the way they looked.
Right.
Or their dirty hits in that one either.
Yeah, exactly. It's not super fun.
Not super fun.
Like, is part of why I like Bischel, again, I know this is not the Bischel podcast, but
it is a little bit.
It's a little bit the Bischel podcast. But like part of what I like about Bischel is he does like big hits, but they're clean hits.
Yeah, right. Like hockey has a framework for like hitting people and punching people. If you do it within that framework, I don't care. Things will happen. There will be accidents. There'll be like things that went wrong and people are going to get hurt. Sure. But when you're out there, flying elbow into someone's head, like, nah, that's not for me.
No, it's not. And just the fact that there are so many Panthers players that are doing it now, and it's just like so much a part of the game. It's crazy to me.
Yeah. And Bennett saying, oh, I didn't even know I hit him. Sure you didn't, buddy.
Of course.
You're playing at the NHL at your level. You're one of the elite players and you had no idea you made contact. Right.
Mm-hmm. I'm so sure.
All right.
Oh, I did think one thing was really funny in game 2. So Rodriguez got cross-checked in the back, I think, by Lawton.
Yep.
And he got called for embellishment.
Oh, that was funny.
That was funny.
Yeah.
And it was like, I mean, it was the penalty and he did, kind of go in, but he did seem to oversell it a bit to me.
On the first angle, you're like, oh, yeah, definitely. And then they called embellishment. And you're like, what? And then they show the second angle and you're like, oh, it wasn't really even a hit. And then you're down on the ice holding your hands. Like it felt more like a game management penalty.
And he like threw his stick.
Yeah.
And like his face didn't even hit the glass. And then he like went down the tunnel.
Yeah, he went down the tunnel.
And then he came back like 30 seconds later and was fine.
Yeah.
And it just felt like, yeah, that the refs were just like, oh my God, we're so sick of this bullshit.
It's like, we're not dealing with this. So look at him go down the tunnel. Yep, exactly. We called it right.
And like, here's the thing. It drives me crazy because sometimes people are like, they just went down the tunnel just because they're just trying to get a penalty. And I usually think that that's bullshit. Like I've seen people say it about Matthew Tkachuk, and at those times I've been like, I'm pretty sure that's bullshit too.
Yeah.
Somebody said it about Leon Bischel in the Colorado game where he lost an edge and hit the boards.
Yeah.
They were like, he just did that to draw a call. And he was back the next shift and he was fine. And I was like, he was out for the rest of the period.
Yeah. No.
And also, he wasn't trying to draw a call. He fell down.
Like, he fell down, go boom.
He fell down and go boom. And when he falls down and goes boom, it's a big boom because he's a big boy.
Yeah. I don't know anything about going down the tunnel, but just seems, suspect sometimes, I guess.
It was just an interesting call.
Yeah.
So
because they called that before he went down the tunnel, right?
They did call it.
And they're like, get your ass back out here and go sit in that box, you liar.
It was, I'm not sure exactly what it was. It just seemed like a weird embellishment call. It seems like an embellishment call that they would give to Mason Marchment.
Right.
I'm just not used to seeing those embellishment calls go to anybody else. So
yeah, no, it just seemed like they were like, we're not going to allow that kind of shit to go on or something.
Pretty much. They were like, oh no, you guys are doing so much dirty shit. You cannot then get something slightly dirty done to you and then act like a drama queen.
Shout out to Lawton though.
Shout out to Lawton.
I'm glad he's still playing.
Yeah.
That's so cool for him.
He's doing so well.
I hope he goes back to
Philly,
which isn't going to happen, but that'd be great.
It'd be so good.
He probably owns a house there, right?
I think he does. Yeah.
Jeez.
I know.
Oh.
Just uprooting people from their families.
Their families.
All right. Well, shall we talk about Carolina versus the Capitals next?
Sure.
since we're talking about teams that play dirty.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Anyway, I think I'm 1,000% Hurricanes. Fuck the Capitals.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And the Capitals and the Panthers are two like teams that are generally followed in this household by you.
Yeah. I tend to like their way of playing hockey, not like the hits part so much, but like the style of the speed of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just been like too much of the extracurriculars.
Too much. Yeah.
Just too much. Like, I don't mind a little extracurricular activity. Like, I like it a little spicy, but like not that spicy.
Yeah.
Like, I have indigestion. I can't handle it.
Gotta let your palate cool down every now and then.
Exactly.
You can't just keep having a hot one wing.
I know. I can't. Like, I need to vary it. My palate just cannot handle that.
Yep.
So game 1, the Hurricanes played the Capitals, and the Canes won that one 2-1 in overtime. And somebody had the tying goal.
Who dat?
It was Logan
Stankoven.
Yeah, so the Caps scored first, but Logan Stankoven tied it up and forced it to overtime.
He's become such a hero there. Like he's a name on that team now.
He is a name on that team.
It's so cool.
No, like there's people on Reddit who are like, how long should I wait before I get his jersey? Like, should I wait until he signs an extension? Like, do we think he's going to sign an extension, right? Like, how many years do you think his extension will be?
This is just your post.
No, it's not even just me. It's like multiple people. Other people are like, I bought it like his second game. Like,
yeah.
There's people there with Stankoven jerseys already. And I love that for him.
Yeah.
And I really, really miss him, but I just could not be happier to see him. Like,
I feel like he found his forever home.
He might have. Yeah. He's built for that style of hockey.
However long forever is in the NHL.
Right. Yeah. So like,
man, if they trade him now, I'm going to be pissed. I'll be like, what?
I'm going to nuke them from space. Like, it'll be terrible. So, but no, I mean, from what I hear, he's just basically like engineered in a lab to play their kind of hockey. He's just like all motor. And I mean, every time I'm watching a Canes game, like I see him and he's like there doing stuff and he looks like so good.
Yeah. No, he fits right in. And it's not like he's playing different or, like he looks like the same guy we got to know in Dallas. It just seems like the people around him and the way they're doing things, like it's just like a better fitting puzzle piece. They
complement his style better.
Yeah.
So it's not like him just in there like doing all the hustle while everybody else does whatever they do.
Yep.
It's like he's part of a whole. So
yep.
I love it. I'm very happy for him.
Well, I'm glad we got to do a Stank Watch segment.
Good old Stank Watch. Always my favorite. Well, the abs are gone, so no more Wedge Watch this year.
No more Wedge Watch. No.
Yeah, we got to keep on going on Stank sightings.
Stank sightings?
Well, still have to figure out the branding on that one.
Yeah.
On Thursday, the Hurricanes played the Capitals again, and that one was not as good. The Capitals won that one 3-1, and pretty much the highlight of that game was Tom Wilson pulled Sebastian Aho's mouth guard out of his mouth.
Oh, is that when that happened?
Yeah. And people were like, oh, that's so funny. And I was like, I think it was funnier last year when Chris Kreider did it to Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah, because he tried to throw it up in the crowd.
He did try to throw it up in the crowd, but he couldn't make it. And it fell on the ice. And Matthew Tkachuk picked it up off the ground.
Yeah, Tom Wilson felt more like fifth grade recess. Like, didn't you just like give it back to him after?
Yeah.
He was like, yeah.
And people are like, ew, he had his glove on it, and Sebastian Aho put it back in his mouth. And I was like, well, Matthew Tkachuk put his back in after it was on the ice. But then I was like, also, neither of them ever keeps their mouth guard actually in their mouth. So
yeah, I wouldn't be too. I feel like the sport of hockey is pretty sweaty and smelly and dirty and gross. So I think that's probably the least bad thing he's put in his mouth.
Mouth bacteria is probably just the least of the issues there. Okay, so actually I lied. The best part of that game happened at the end of the game, like after the game. So the game ends, Capitals have won, and Connor McMichael decides to be a bitch and slash Logan Stankoven on the ankles.
Oh, right, yeah.
And Logan Stankoven went feral.
He went full honey badger mode.
Full honey badger, lost his mind, went back after Connor McMichael to try to slash him, slashed a ref instead. The ref had to like basically pick him up and like carry him off the ice. He was just
short people
snarling and flailing.
Short people don't like that.
They do not like that. It's a thing. But yeah, no, he was because he was heated. I've seen him mad before, but that was probably the maddest I've ever seen him.
Yeah, right. Like after you lose and then you get that, like, and you're already a honey badger.
Yeah, like that's just your natural state of being, is that you're a honey badger.
Right.
And then like this guy just like decides to just like poke you for no reason. Like, why would you poke a honey badger?
No.
Just because you're a dick. That's why.
Yep.
That's the only reason why you would. So some people are like, oh, that was kind of an oversensitive reaction. I'm like, I love it. I want more unhinged Stankoven. Like,
yes.
I've been saying it since he was in Dallas. I was like, that little guy wants to fight. And Pete DeBoer won't let him. He's dimming his shine.
Yes. Exactly. And Stankoven...
He's hiding his light under a bushel.
Exactly. Stankoven's ready to go with Tom Wilson. Like, he does not care.
Exactly. Stankoven and Wyatt Johnston both are like ready to tangle with Tom Wilson.
Yep.
And yeah, Stankoven does not care. Like he does not see size. He just wants to fight.
He's got like the best kind of Napoleon syndrome or whatever they call it.
Yeah, Napoleon complex.
Napoleon complex.
He's just like, whatever, I will fight you. I don't care if you're 5 times my size.
Yep. And we're like, that's okay that you're Napoleon. Go for it.
Yeah, no. And it's like, I bet he bites and pulls hair, and that's fine. And I support that. So I don't know. I loved that for him. I thought that was great.
I do think this was the game where there was some penalty and they had a camera following a skater, and then I was like, holy shit, is that Pat Sajak? And it was Pat Sajak just sitting in the front there. Apparently he's a Capitals fan.
Yes. Yeah. No, that was so wild to me. I was like, wait, yeah, no, you were like, is that Pat Sajak? And I was like, I didn't see. And you're like, no, I have to go back. And I was just like, oh, it's probably some guy who looks like Pat Sajak. And no, you went back and it was absolutely Pat Sajak.
Absolutely him. So, and I don't have much of a reference for Pat Sajak. I'm not a Wheel fan.
Never have been. Definitely we're Jeopardy people.
Yep.
So
anyway, he was there. I thought that was neat.
Yep.
Like he's right up on the glass. It's pretty cool, like center ice front row seats there.
Yeah. I mean, definitely if I had Wheel of Fortune money, I'd have seats like that.
Yeah.
So
yep.
I'm going to have to get on some game show.
Trade that trip in for some cash and get a seat. Yeah, but he's season ticket holder for a long time, I guess. So.
Yeah. Well, there you go. New trivia. Maybe you've just learned or probably haven't. So
I haven't,
but we learned it. All right. Game 3 in that series was yesterday. And this time the Capitals went to North Carolina to play the Hurricanes. And the Capitals came out looking really kind of strong and disciplined. They're getting lots of shots on goal because Carolina had been really out shooting them.
Oh, God, right.
The prior games, like especially game 1.
Yeah.
It was like, I forget how many, but it was just like an insane amount.
It was. And we always hear the announcers and the coaches say, we just need to get pucks on net. And it's like message received on that last game. Like they just were getting pucks on net. And I was like, why do not everybody do this?
The announcers were like, perhaps too much pucks on net. Exactly. They're like, perhaps better pucks on net, not just many.
Exactly.
They were very confused. They're like, so many pucks on net, but not many goals.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Message received, but maybe you received it too hard.
Right. Exactly. Yep. So, or like receive it, but like receive it better.
Yeah.
So anyway, no, the Caps were looking good in, the first period, and they were looking pretty evenly matched. And the goaltending was really good on both sides. And so it just was like a really tight game. It was like nobody was scoring, but it was still fun to watch, which is not always the case in these sort of like tight, low scoring playoff games.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think I saw this at all.
No, this was yesterday. Yeah,
I was watching Gravity Falls.
You were spending quality time with our child while I was downstairs simultaneously working and watching hockey.
Yep.
Because I'm a lunatic. So finally, the Canes were the ones to crack the goalie first. They scored right off of the faceoff. And that was like what they needed to rattle the Caps.
Yep.
Because then they just kept scoring. And Logan Stankoven had an assist. So that was really cool.
Love that.
He's just like in the mix.
Yep.
So yeah, over the next basically half of the game, the Canes scored 4 goals and the Capitals could not score a goal to save their lives.
Love that.
Yeah.
And was Anderson looking good?
Anderson was looking great.
I've started to like him. I've never really known one way or another. I know that he can be good when he's good.
Yeah.
But I saw on Instagram, his helmet painter guy is working on one for him, and it's sick.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know where he'd wear it because it doesn't even have like colors. It's like all black and white. It's really cool. Anyway.
Yeah.
So he seems like an okay guy to me now.
Mostly what I know about him is he did play for the Leafs for a while, and he also just has trouble staying healthy for a long time.
Same.
Yeah. I mean, right. We're always going to have empathy for that because we are constantly sick and injured here.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, he did great. And yeah, he got the shutout, and it was really, really nice.
Right. That was his fourth career playoff shutout.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Which there's a competing storyline with that as well.
Yes.
We might get to.
We can get into that later.
See, I know things about stats and stuff.
You do. You have to learn them out of self-defense around here.
I'd be like, actually.
Well, with that being said, I think we can go ahead and move on to the West.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the rest of the Canes games.
Me too. Yeah.
I think they definitely thrive at home.
Yeah.
But I think getting that one win in Washington was good.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think that really helped. And I don't know. I like their chances. I think they look good.
I do. Yeah.
And I don't know. Wherever Stankoven goes, so goes my heart. So that's that, I guess.
Yep.
All right. So we got Vegas versus Edmonton.
Yeah, I haven't seen like any of this.
I have barely seen any of it too. And again, it is just because I do not like Vegas.
Yeah.
And like, I guess I'll watch a Vegas game if I really like the team. So basically if the Stars are playing them, because I don't think I like any other teams enough to watch Vegas. Certainly not Edmonton. I'm fine on Edmonton. I'm neutral on Edmonton.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't like have passionate enough feelings about them to watch them play Vegas.
No, and I think I said this during the week at some point, but like I don't dislike, like, how many hockey teams are there? 32?
32.
Like, I don't have strong feelings about any of them. They're all fine, but I do not like Vegas.
Yeah.
So
no, same.
And if you like Vegas, I guess that's fine. I don't get it, but sure, go ahead.
Yeah, we all like what we like.
Yeah.
I'm not going to kink shame you.
Right. Yeah, you like, villains that have bad vibes. Cool.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's on you.
That's okay.
You can like that.
Yeah, maybe bring it up with your therapist gently. But I'm not judging. That's fine.
Yeah.
You do you.
Yeah. But yeah, I actively don't enjoy Vegas. And I don't even have like opinions on the players. I think Eichel's friggin' great.
Yeah, no, there's some really good hockey players on the team, which makes them more annoying.
Right.
Because they are very good at hockey too.
Yeah.
Which it's like, I hate it when they're evil and good. That's just stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like the colors. I don't like where they play. I don't like the city personally. It's the place I've been to most in this country, and it's against my will.
Yeah.
Except for one time.
For like work stuff.
Oh my God. I've been there so many times. Not a fan.
No.
Anyway.
Well, yeah. Well, I haven't made you watch any Vegas games, mostly because I did not watch really game 1 or game 2. I think I kind of watched part of them.
Yeah.
But I didn't really have them on. I didn't like go seek them out. But if I happened to be in front of the TV and they were on, then I would put them on.
Mm-hmm.
So game 1, I do know I was like checking the scores of that one because it had started and Mark Stone had scored the first 2 goals for Vegas. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to bother putting this one on.
You actively don't like him.
I actively don't like him. So I'm currently getting heavily downvoted on Reddit because I talk shit about him. And I don't care. So yeah, basically Edmonton won that one 4-2. So that's all I have about that game. Basically, Mark Stone scored goals, so I didn't care. So I didn't watch, and Edmonton won.
Yeah. Yeah. We end up seeing basically the highlight clips. And by the highlight clips, I mean like the shorts. Like
right. Yeah.
40 seconds is all we need.
That's all.
You're like, oh, there's a goal.
Yeah. Game 2, I also didn't watch, but there was a lot more discourse around this one. So I know a little bit more about it. So Vegas was kind of chasing the Oilers all game. They were often behind by like 2 goals, but they did manage to tie it up eventually, and they forced OT. So in OT, the refs missed a trip committed by Edmonton against a Vegas player who went down pretty hard.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a trip. Yep.
Definitely a trip. I'm not arguing with
everyone.
that.
Everyone agreed.
Everyone agrees.
Yep.
Yeah, it was definitely a trip. If it happened to somebody on my team, I'd be super mad about it.
Yeah.
Since it's Vegas, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, karma.
Move on.
Yeah.
NBD.
NBD. It's fine. Whatever. So that like missed call didn't lead directly to a goal, but like, you know, it did not lead directly to a goal.
It like took the wind out of their sails or something.
Well, just like within 2 minutes,
Yeah.
Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid combined to score a pretty sick goal. And,
yeah, it was sick.
And that might not have happened if somebody had been in the box. So,
True.
You know, things might have been different. And
yeah,
it is what it is.
I mean, timeline's going to timeline.
Timelines are certainly going to timeline.
So.
They do that against our will constantly.
Yep. Just keeps happening.
Just keeps happening. Time keeps on slipping. So yeah, Mark Stone was super upset that the refs missed a call. Like, I think the coach called out the ref by name during a press conference. He was like, oh, so-and-so missed that call.
I don't like that coach guy.
Yeah, no, me either. Just, again, adds to the punchability of that whole crew.
Mm-hmm.
So I did think it was nice that Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. So Connor passed to Leon. Leon scored. They both are at opposite ends of the ice celebrating with team members, but they just are like pointing to each other and then just like ignoring their teammates and then just skating towards each other with teammates hanging off them.
Right. They're all trying to hug them and they're just skating towards each other.
Like,
just
no, it's so funny. It's just they cannot hide their obsession with each other, and it's really cute. Mark Stone, that was the game where he tried to ride Connor McDavid around the ice like a carousel pony.
Oh yeah, he was totally just like trying to get on top of him and like ride him like a pony.
Yeah, like a carousel pony specifically.
Yeah, not
not a real pony, but just like, oh, look at this inanimate object that I'm going to mount.
Right,
like,
not like the Genuine song.
No, not like the Genuine song. So yeah, I saw the clip of that and I actually showed that to you, and I was like, see, this is what I'm talking about with him. He just throws himself around recklessly.
Yeah.
And that was annoying.
Yeah. And apparently, I think it was Hockey Psychology we were watching, and it was like noted awful, terrible to watch skater Mark Stone. Or he's like, this guy is just the worst skater in the NHL or something like that. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, no, he makes Mason Marchment look like a graceful ice dancer. And then the other really funny thing that happened was that Chris Knobloch tried to high five the assistant coach and ended up slapping him in the face.
Oh, I can see him do it. He's kind of an awkward man, isn't he?
He is definitely an awkward man. Yeah. And yeah, so
that's pretty funny.
I'll have to find that clip for you.
Man, white dudes trying to like high five or like show emotion towards each other is pretty funny sometimes.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Especially when they're awkward AF.
Yes.
To begin with.
And you're saying that as an awkward white man. Yeah. So it's fine.
That's why I don't express any emotion or affection.
Exactly. Yeah. We've been together like 20 years and still like hugging is very awkward. You're just like the awkward one-handed pat. You're like, they're there.
They're there. I don't want to look stupid, so I'm just going to look like this.
And that's fine. And I love that about you. So I did watch the game yesterday because there was nothing else on and I needed background noise while I worked. So yesterday morning, Edmonton fans were distraught when they heard that Calvin Pickard was not in the goal at practice.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So, Edmonton's starting goalie is Stu Skinner.
Yeah.
And he has not started like the last 6 games, I think. They've had their backup, Calvin Pickard, in.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Stu Skinner was in the net instead during practice. Turns out Cal Pickard got injured in the last game. And they had to put Stuart Skinner in yesterday. And everyone's like, oh, shit. We have to play our starting goalie. This is terrible.
Oh, no, our starting goalie.
Which is, such an Edmonton problem to have. They're like, oh, no, our starting goalie is gonna fuck this up for us.
Right.
And, he did not look great necessarily. He did have some really good saves, but there were also some other saves he probably could have had.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Oilers did start off strong. Mr. Scory Perry himself scored 2 goals. But then Vegas got back-to-back goals, at the end of the first period. So all tied up at the end of the first.
Oh, right. Yeah, I saw some of the first. And you were like headed back downstairs to work. And by the time you got downstairs, Vegas had 2 goals or something. It was like real fast.
Yeah. I was like, wait, what? Yeah. So that was crazy. Stuart Skinner did make a lot of great saves in the second period. And there was just a point where like they couldn't keep it. He was just getting hammered with pucks. And eventually one did get by him. And so that's when Vegas scored again and took a lead going into the third period. And then Skinner did again make a lot of really good saves in the third period. So I'm not going to take any of that away from him. He did a really good job. He actually had one save that was so good that Tomas Hertl was like so pissed. He went to the bench and started like slamming a stick around to break it. Only he didn't break it. He instead accidentally hit one of the equipment manager guys in the head with the blade of a stick.
Wow.
And so he had to go down the tunnel. And when he came back, he has like a big bleeding gash on the side of his head.
Oh my God.
And you can tell Hertl felt terrible about it. Like immediately he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And the guy looked very unimpressed and unamused by everything. Just stone faced the whole time.
I haven't seen that, but I guess I'm sure that'll come across the old feed at one point or another.
Yeah, I meant to show that one to you this morning too. But yeah, he was, you could tell he felt terrible about it. But nope. If you're going to break your stick, maybe don't break it next to people's heads.
Yeah. And again, another player who's great. Hertl's great.
He's great. He's
so
a great
good.
player.
So good.
So good.
Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah. And like, obviously he didn't mean to do that, but like, it just feels very Vegas to like accidentally inflict head wounds on your trainer people on the bench. Oops. Aiden Hill was also really good in net with Vegas, but Connor McDavid got one past him to tie up the game with about 3 minutes left in the third. And then, so it's really looking like it's going to go to OT. Everyone's thinking it's going to go to OT. And then Riley Smith puts one on the net with like less than a second to go. And the refs call it no goal. But Riley Smith's like, nope, that went in. And all the Vegas players are off the bench celebrating. And yeah, they looked back at it, and it turns out that Leon Draisaitl had tried to bat the puck away, and it deflected off his stick, and it hit the camera, which is over the goal line. So,
oh, I didn't know it was Draisaitl's stick from that overhead. That's funny.
Yeah, it was.
You had me watch that before.
I did. So yeah, that was
things gonna happen. That's how these people. This is why you don't turn the game off ever.
It was 0.4 of a second left.
0.4 of a second left.
0.4 of a second left. Yep. It was crazy.
Yep.
Like we all thought it was going to OT. Like I was like, it was getting late. I was like I want to pack it up.
Yep.
Then I did pack it up. It was great.
Then you were able to pack it up.
Then I was able to pack it up.
Yeah. It's like you had like the vibes of me when these playoff games go to overtime. I'm like, oh, fuck. Come on.
I know. I was like, if it was anybody else, fine. But Vegas, I have to watch another period of Vegas.
Yeah.
But then like it was like a really cool, exciting buzzer beater. But then it was Vegas. It had to be Vegas. Yep. Like, why are you doing this to me? And then the other big thing that happened in the game was that Mark Stone left early with an upper body injury and didn't come back. And I did show you the clip of that this morning of the play that they think is what injured him and took him out.
Yep.
Where he was going down, like falling down while skating because, classic Mark Stone.
Yeah.
And it looked like he was going to hit the knee of Corey Perry. Mm-hmm. And then maybe he hit his head or something. But it was really interesting because the clip I showed you, the broadcaster was like, interestingly enough, that looks a lot like the, fall that Mark Stone had that injured Miro Heiskanen, who still hasn't returned. Mm-hmm. And I was like, exactly. Like, do I think Mark Stone intentionally took out Miro's knee? No. Do I think Mark Stone is reckless and doesn't care if people get injured? Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
So, like, I think Rope tripped him, and I think he went down, and I think he does not care and flings his body around because he's like, well, I'm going to do some damage.
Right.
So that's what I think. And people can disagree with me if they want to, but.
Yeah. So you had me watch this, and then like further down in the comments, somebody linked to like the other angle of it. And like the dude was clearly trying to do bad things. Like and then there were people like talking about like Bennett in relation to this one, and just didn't look good. Didn't look right. No, it just doesn't. Nope. It's like, people say, oh, well, he doesn't have like a history of discipline. He has as much history of discipline as Jamie Benn does. So make of that what you will. I like when you bring up things like that for haters.
Mm-hmm. Drink that haterade, bitches. All right. So yeah, now with that win, that series is now 2-1 in favor of Edmonton. Yeah. We're obviously rooting for Edmonton. Absolutely. I'd always rather watch them play than probably a lot of teams. Like they're fun to watch. I don't care for them one way or another, but the skill the skill seems kind of deep on that team. And like when they put it together, like it's always highlight reel shit. So it's fun to watch. I feel like their skill is like the deepest it's been in a while. Like they're not having to just lean on McDrysaddle as much as they have in years past. So yeah, that's something. That's good. Oh, and before we move on,
I forgot. Of my 5 notes that I took this week, we forgot to talk about Soul Bear.
Oh my God, yes. How could I have forgotten about Soul Bear?
Anyway, moving on.
Where was Soul Bear again? I had forgotten.
I think he sang the anthem at the Leafs game. Okay,
yes, that sounds right. The only thing I remember about Soul Bear is that you said, wow, that Soul Bear really bared his soul. And people were talking about him on Reddit in the game day thread. And I said, my husband just said to me, wow, that Soul Bear really bared his soul. And now I have to get a divorce.
Yeah.
So
he seems like a nice guy, but Soul Bear is just quite the name.
That's a choice.
Yep.
Choices. So let's move on to the Stars versus the Jets.
Okay.
So before I get into this, I should say that last week we didn't actually know who we were going to be facing in this round.
Oh, right. We had to go watch more hockey after the podcast.
We had to go watch more hockey after the podcast.
Which we have to do today, too.
Which we also have to do today, too. It never ends.
Oh, yay.
So, yeah, it was the Jets versus St. Louis. They still had their game 7. And that ended up being a really exciting game, too, because we just had a super exciting game with Dallas and the Rantanen revenge hat trick.
Right.
Well, this one, it was, a game and Winnipeg was behind by 1 goal, I think. 2 goals. And then with under 2 minutes left, they scored 1. And then with
under 2 seconds.
Yeah, like 1.6 seconds left, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Cole Perfetti scored a tying goal and sent it to OT.
Yeah.
And then I think it went into like 2 OTs.
Yeah, I gave up on it. I gave up on it after they went to OT. I was like,
you're like, gotta go.
See you later. I'm out.
Yeah. And yeah, no. And then the Jets won in overtime. So they're the ones who moved on.
Yeah. Yeah. People, it was, the general vibe was like everyone forgot about the Dallas game and was like, this was the greatest game ever. And I was like, man, I watched that game. That game was boring up until the last 2 minutes.
It was excruciatingly boring.
It felt like a Jets game to me.
It was so boring. And then like the last 2 minutes was real exciting. And then it went to overtime and it was extremely boring again.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, no, give me like chaos all game. Like, please, even if it's bad.
Yeah. Like,
give me something.
Like, I know it was exciting, like in the exciting sense of like a hockey game, but like, I just feel like you shouldn't like immediately forget the Rantanen game.
Right. I mean, they were both historic games in their own ways. For
Absolutely.
Sure. So
one was good to watch the entire time and one was good to watch for 2 minutes.
There you go. I guess if you have an attention span, then Dallas is for you.
Welcome to Fred's Hot Take Corner.
I like it. Well, so we did find out we were facing against Winnipeg and we had our game 1 with them on Wednesday.
And I think you were happy about this. I don't think you wanted to go up against St. Louis.
I've been of very mixed mind. St. Louis was on such a heater coming into the playoffs. They had this like long, uninterrupted, streak of winning. And they, were playing a real physical game against Winnipeg and looking real good. I didn't want to have to go against Radek Faksa. Root against him.
Yeah, we do like him.
We would have had home ice advantage, which would have been nice.
Yep.
But I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
So, with Connor Hellebuck looking the way he did in round 1, that, was promising for us. But the issue is, what if he pulls his shit together? Then that's bad. So
it's bad if he pulls his shit together. Definitely.
Yeah. So I have been of 2 minds of it, but it doesn't really matter what I think because they won. So that's who we're playing.
Yeah.
So game 1. I went into it very not stressed out because we always lose game 1 in series, so it's fine.
Yeah, and they weren't on home ice and all that.
Yeah, so I went in fully expecting to lose, and then that feeling of relaxation was really amplified by the very sedate commentating of that game.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody online compared it to that SNL Delicious Dish sketch, and it really was very like regional NPR.
NPR hockey.
Yeah, regional NPR commentating, just very like, and now he has the puck, and now he is passing the puck to somebody else, and now the puck is in the net. Like, that's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was a late game, and I was tired.
I watched like 5 or 10 minutes of this, and then I just didn't watch the rest. I was still awake, and I just didn't watch this game.
No, it was exhausting. Like, I felt like a Dallas Leafs boy watching it.
Yeah.
It was not cool.
Yeah, and it had that lady who, oh boy.
She made you mad that one time.
She made me mad that one time, and she still makes me mad.
Yep.
I do not enjoy her color commentary. I'm all for breaking the glass ceiling, but like not her.
Listen, I think it's inspiring that there are all of these really terrible male commentators, and we also have a really terrible female commentator.
Yeah.
So
the other one too.
Let the women suck too.
Yeah, they do. They do. They all suck.
It's good. Yep. Like, don't hold women to like double standards and make them have to be good to be on TNT. Let them all be bad evenly.
Man, I get so angry.
I know. It's true. It's cute too, because you got mad because like she basically was implying that it was bad that Dallas won, and like,
yeah,
and you were like, she should be impartial, and I'm the Dallas fan, and you don't really care. So
right, yeah. Anyway,
your fairness button got activated.
I certainly have my thoughts about some color commentators.
You do. It's true,
and not just the ladies, the men too.
Yeah, no, we all definitely have opinions. So this game wasn't like the most compelling game on like a minute-to-minute basis, which. Again, I think that's that like Winnipeg style of hockey. Like, it's just like very grind it out. Like, it's just very intense and back and forth, and it feels like you're on the boards all the time. It went totally scoreless in the first. So again, with the sleepy commentating, I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this game. In the second period, a few minutes in, Winnipeg was the first one to score a goal. But about 5 minutes after that, Mikko Rantanen said, you know what? This narrative of always losing game one, it's fucking boring. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to play by your rules. So Sam Steele got the puck into the offensive zone and sent it over to Donov, who took a shot on net. This didn't go in, but Mikko Rantanen was like, I'm just going to clean up that rebound with one hand on my stick while I'm falling down. And he scored a goal.
Yeah.
It was very cute. Donov like went over to like pick him up off the ice because he was fully down on the ice.
Man, every time Rantanen gets a point, something happens in Colorado that would be funny.
I know, right? It's so good.
Oh, geez. People.
So 6 minutes after that, Thomas Harley took a shot from the point, and Rantanen tipped it in perfectly. Beautiful redirect. Mm-hmm. Crisp, classic, Pavelski-esque, you might say. So then we have the lead, 2-1. It's great. And then 2 minutes after that, Mikko and Rope go in on a 2-on-1. Now, Mikko is very unselfish. Mm-hmm. He tries to pass the puck to Rope, but instead it hits a Jets player and bounces right into the goal. And Mikko has a natural hat trick in the second period.
Just like he drew it up.
So this is 2 hat tricks in 3 periods now, because he had his third period hat trick against Colorado.
Colorado fans, man.
Oh, man.
I feel bad for them. Joe Sakic? He did them dirty.
There are people who are like, yeah, I'm in therapy over this. So no, it's really, really historic. So Mikko's only the third player in NHL history to score hat tricks in consecutive playoff games.
Yeah.
The last person to do that was in 1985. Also a Finnish player.
Interesting. Okay.
And he's the first player in Stanley Cup playoffs history with multiple 3-goal periods in the same postseason.
Yeah.
So both hat tricks were like single period hat tricks.
Oh, I love it.
It's crazy. Like, he is just blowing the roof off of the records building.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's insane. Then, because the Stars are the Stars, we immediately gave up a goal like less than a minute later.
Yeah, they love to do that.
They do. But we kept it scoreless on both sides after that. So we ended up winning game 1, 3-2, thanks to some Mikko Rantanen hat trick heroics.
Yeah.
Like, crazy. Bonkers.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
And like, it would have been way more exciting if the commentating team hadn't been like Quaaludes personified, but...
Yeah, was it? I don't know if it was ESPN or TNT, but TNT bothers me so much with their audio. Like, they mute the crowd so much, and it sounds like everyone's remote from the like announcer booth, and it's like the audio is just so annoying compared to ESPN.
Maybe it was ESPN.
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Either way, it was terrible.
Either way, watching a game on TNT is worse than watching a game on ESPN, which is saying something.
Which is also bad. So game 2 was on Friday night, and the Stars were still in Winnipeg. And since we had played so unexpectedly well 2 nights prior, I kind of suspected that the Stars were going to indulge in a little self-sabotage.
Yep. Just
because that's how they roll. And the vibes were really off from the beginning. And I think it's because so many people were wearing fried chicken buckets on their head.
You know, when Buckethead shows up to a hockey game, you got to watch out.
Yeah, but like not real Buckethead, just like hundreds of knockoff Bucketheads.
Hundreds of knockoff Bucketheads, and the whiteout bucket.
the whiteout bucket. It's weird.
Like they changed their KFC like for the playoffs or something.
Yeah. So they like rebranded a KFC to like have, I think the bucket had like Kyle Connor's image on it.
Right.
Because Kyle fucking Connor.
Right.
Although I will say the commentator was funny about it. He was like, see, I say it like Mark Scheifele, Kyle frickin' Connor, which was great.
Yeah,
so.
the sideline lady was having trouble explaining what KFC meant.
Yeah, exactly. And he was like, no, just be like Mark Scheifele and say Kyle frickin' Connor.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. But yeah, no, it was weird. There's chicken buckets everywhere. Winnipeg is a strange place.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Bush doesn't want to go there ever to commentate.
He never does. So.
He's like, I hope it's not Winnipeg this year. Oh, God damn, it's Winnipeg.
Yeah, well, fuck.
So, but yeah, I feel like a sea of people wearing KFC buckets on their head is equivalent to Korean harmonica ladies. Like it's not going to go well for who's ever going up against that.
Yeah, it's like how do you compete with that? Like that's just a level of unhingedness that we aren't equipped to deal with.
Yeah.
So pretty early into the game, we had to kill a 4-minute double minor.
I hadn't even like sat down for the game and you texted that there was a 4-minute. It was like so quick into the game. Like I was like still coming to the living room.
Yeah, you hadn't even made it out to the living room yet. So it was Tyler Sagan. So for once it was not Mason Marchment.
Yep.
Which was a huge surprise to all of us.
you breathed a sigh of relief. You're like, see? Ah.
I was like, see? Sometimes he's innocent. Like I almost expected to see him like go into the box out of habit.
Right.
No.
he just starts going over that way.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I guess I wasn't even on the ice. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Muscle memory. Anyway, so Tyler had to go to the sin bin, the bad boy box.
Yep.
Ice jail. And they killed the first 2 minutes of the penalty, but then on the second half of the penalty, Winnipeg scored.
Yeah.
So that sucked.
Yeah.
And then Winnipeg scored again on the first. So didn't like that.
That also sucked.
And then Winnipeg scored again in the third or in the second and then again in the third.
Yeah.
And I would talk about the Stars goals, but we didn't have any. So
I feel like because I definitely saw this game. It felt like they could not get the puck into the offensive zone and do anything with it, which was reflected in the score.
Yeah. We did start out slow on shots. We did improve on shots.
Yeah.
Over time. Hellebuck was locked in.
Yeah.
He said that himself in a post-game interview. He was like, oh, I'm locked in now. And I'm like, well, fuck.
Well, that's not good for anybody.
Well, I don't like that. That is not good for me personally as a human.
He did look really good. And I do feel like he's some sort of like cyborg connected to the Winnipeg fans. Like we've seen, he is 100% a Winnipeg for life guy.
Oh yeah, no, he is fueled by the bucket heads.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. So, and then I don't know. I guess more of them need to travel with the team or something because I guess we'll see how he handles being away.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little worried. He's real locked in. So it kind of is just gonna. I feel like from here. Gonna come down to like the hockey narrative.
Yeah,
and like what the hockey scriptwriters want to show. Like, does Dallas continue going on their revenge tour? And like, will Jake Ottinger show that really he's the best U.S. goaltender?
All right, they're chanting U.S. backup.
They were.
Love that.
That's true.
It's pretty funny.
You know, or will Connor Hellebuck continue like his comeback? And that was it. Like, I would like to think that maybe that shutout was his redemption arc. And he has peaked now, and now we got to go back on a revenge tour. But
that was the denouement. So
fingers
crossed, but yeah, you never know.
Yeah, you know, because then what would happen is we would then move on to play Edmonton, and we get our revenge on them for knocking us out of the quarterfinals last year.
Okay,
the conference finals. Sorry. And then we would go to face the Canes in the final, and then we would lose to Logan Stankoven.
Logan Stankoven with the overtime winner in Game 7.
Yeah, and then the revenge tour would flip, and Logan Stankoven would score the series-winning goal against us.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Could be.
I know. So you never know what the hockey scriptwriters are going to cook up.
Yeah, I was thinking it would be amusing because, as I mentioned earlier, for fourth playoff shutout for Anderson, but also that was the fourth playoff shutout for Hellebuck.
Yes.
So maybe that's the story, and they show up together, and it's Anderson versus Hellebuck.
Both 4-0 shutouts too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I guess we will see what happens.
I guess we will. Stars are playing in a couple hours.
Yep.
As I said online this morning, I just want my idiot hockey children to play a good game. That's all I want for Mother's Day.
That's all you need for Mother's Day.
Yeah. Just play a good hockey game, boys. A better hockey game than the other team even would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
So
no, they do seem like similar teams, the way they play, and like it can be a little bit boring. I don't know what game it was. Maybe it even wasn't a game, but I started remembering Razor saying the best hockey score is 4-3. And I think he's absolutely right. I think if a game's 4-3, that was a good game to watch.
Yeah, there was enough going on where it was exciting.
Yep.
But the goaltending was still probably good too.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah, I like that.
Anyway.
I think that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I thought we should just go ahead and finish up with a little brief game time today.
Cool. I'm unprepared.
What else is new? That's fine. I'm prepared enough for both of us.
All right, good.
So round 1 has ended. So we said goodbye to 8 more teams. And going out in the first round can be difficult physically and emotionally. So I think that these teams could use some specialized self-care.
Yeah, for sure.
So I have suggested some self-care items or routines or activities that they should do in the postseason to feel better after being eliminated.
Kind of like a cleanse.
Yeah.
Or something.
Exactly. Something along those lines.
Sure.
So the Colorado Avalanche, sometimes breakups happen because of external forces. And the players didn't really choose to break up with Mikko.
Right.
So for their self-care, I'm just going to allow them to wallow in their breakup. I think that they can just take some time, grieve the end of their relationship. They can set up burner social media accounts to watch all of Mikko's playoff hat tricks. And they can eat ice cream directly from the container. And it has to be real dairy, not chickpea ice cream.
McKinnon. He's not eating ice cream.
That's fine. He's at Worlds. He's fine.
He's eating shaved ice with no flavor.
I looked it up, and there is chickpea ice cream. It is a thing. So don't get any ideas, Nate McKinnon. But yeah, I just think that they should let themselves be hot messes for a while. And I think that can be a form of self-care.
I would probably send them to an island and do Lord of the Flies kind of stuff. I feel like they need to start a new civilization amongst themselves without the management, really just bond with whatever kind of feelings they're having, which are probably angry.
Yeah, I don't know how much self-care is in Lord of the Flies, but it has been a while since I read it.
I've never read it or seen the movie. I actually don't know what it's about.
I'm pretty sure they turn on each other and there's death. So
that might happen.
Yeah.
All right, maybe Survivor style.
I don't know if you know what self-care is.
See, I told you I was unprepared.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go on to the Los Angeles Kings because for them, I'm actually going to go really traditional self-care. Mm-hmm. They're going to go to a spa retreat kind of place. Very straight up massages, mud baths, natural springs, just all those nice sort of body treatments, unwinding, relaxing. And the players can do all of those. But the coach has to go and do meditation the whole time and reflect on that challenge that he did. He did wrong.
He certainly messed it up.
Yes.
Didn't they fire somebody?
I think the AGM or somebody.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Who knows?
I'm back to not paying attention to them. I only pay attention to them when Kuzmenko is on the ice, and now they don't exist to me anymore, and that's fine.
There's certainly a lot of coach and assistant coach shuffling.
Yeah. Going
on. Well, yeah. Anyway.
Minnesota, I feel like self-care looks different for different people. Mm-hmm. And I think with the Minnesota Wild, they're going to have a potluck.
That is so Minnesota.
They're going to bring hot dishes.
Oh my God.
They're all going to have casseroles, and they're all just going to sit around in a circle and eat casseroles, possibly right out of the casserole dishes, and just pass them around and talk about their feelings.
Holy shit. There's going to be strawberry rhubarb pie.
Yep.
And that's totally what they're going to do.
Yeah, right.
I spent a summer in Minnesota apprenticing with a harp maker, and literally the first night I showed up, it was all the friends, and it was a potluck. It was hey, Fred's here. Let's have a potluck.
Hot dish potluck.
And let's talk shit about people that are not here.
Yes.
But in a nice, kind way.
Yeah.
And we don't repeat it outside of here.
Of course not.
But we all know what Edna's up to.
Exactly. Edna, what a hoe. Anyway, that's what I think that they're going to do.
I think that is spot on.
So the Montreal Canadiens, this team has so many babies. I think it would be really fun to load them up into a time machine.
Oh, okay.
And take them back to like the 90s or early 2000s and take them clubbing in an era where there were no cell phones or social media. Like, can you imagine like being 22 right now and like growing up in a world where like everything is online and documented and just going out and like that's not a thing?
Yeah.
I feel like they would lose their tiny little minds.
The last or only rave I ever went to, we certainly had cell phones, but nobody was taking pictures.
No,
We were having fun.
Yeah, exactly. So
I feel like Slavkovsky there would be living his best life.
like I had a cell phone in college, but I didn't take it anywhere. It was just in my dorm room and it was powered off all the time.
Yeah.
And I guess I was supposed to use it in case of emergencies, but I still don't know how that would have worked because I never had it and
Right.
it was never on.
And it would have been roaming probably.
That's why I wasn't allowed to take it with me or have it on. So it just sat in my dorm room all year.
Yeah.
I don't think I could even text on it. It was
No, I don't think that.
This was the dark ages, guys. It was very different.
Yeah, no, they would feel free.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
The New Jersey Devils. So they're all like very, very injured.
Yeah.
So I feel like they need a spa, but it's like kind of like the modern equivalent of like the Battle Creek Sanitarium.
I don't
experience.
know what any of this means.
Okay. So, you know, Kellogg's cereal.
Okay. This is a weird story. Yes, I do.
So Dr. Kellogg back in the day was like,
this is also news that there's a Dr. Kellogg.
yeah, well,
This is fascinating.
I don't know if they might have stripped him from being a doctor.
Might have been Mr. Kellogg.
It might have been Mr. Kellogg.
I didn't even know
I think he started as a Dr. Kellogg.
I didn't even know there was a Kellogg.
Yeah, no. So he was really into like health and wellness stuff, and he started the Battle Creek Sanitarium.
Yep.
It's like a health retreat for people to go to, and like all of the famous people went there. Like I think like Sojourner Truth went there. Like
I don't know who that is.
all right, we're gonna have to really step up your education. Famous abolitionist, keep up.
I've heard the name.
Anyway,
there's a lot of new information in this story for me.
Yes. Okay. Anyway. He's a doctor. He sets up this like health and wellness retreat, which at the time was like very cutting edge. And they had all of these different treatments like phototherapy, which is like a light therapy.
Sure.
He did have a lot of enemas. So I think I would scratch that. I think the sanitarium would have way less butt stuff than that one.
I don't know. People seem to love that.
They do, but I don't know if these guys need that. But basically there's all of these like kind of cutting edge techniques and like equipment out there right now that are like maybe good for recovery, but are maybe bullshit. Like I can't really tell the difference.
Right.
Like there's this like red laser treatment that you can get that maybe rebuilds your tissue, or people will get like in hyperbaric chambers because the oxygen helps you rebuild your tissue or something. I don't know.
Taking a bath in like liquid copper.
Yeah, they did like the original cold plunge there.
Right.
Like I think that's where they invented cold plunge. That's not really, but like they did do cold plunge.
I'm following. Yeah.
So anyway, basically something like that where it's like health and wellness, but also like insane like athlete recovery shit.
Kind of like that thing we saw in France with the F1 drivers.
Yes, exactly.
Where the training and the rehab and all the stuff is like super science, and like the Olympic training facilities are kind of like that.
Yeah, something like that. But then also sort of in this nice sort of like bucolic countryside, like nice house sort of thing, but also less butt stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Just put it in Hackensack. They're from Jersey. It's fine.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. All right. So the St. Louis Blues. They need to put on a playlist and listen to some music and just really wallow in the pain of, you know, their very last second elimination. Mm-hmm. Now, you might think, oh, they're the St. Louis Blues. They should listen to blues. That's not going to work for hockey players.
No.
Hockey players can't appreciate
They need
blues.
Morgan Wallen.
No, I think that they need to listen to the saddest of all sad boy music, and that is emo.
Okay.
Except for Jordan Binnington, he can listen to screamo.
Okay,
because
I like that.
He's got a lot of rage, and I think that if he can just scream along to some screamo, he's going to be fine.
Yeah, then he wouldn't be a rat in the cage anymore.
I think he's always going to be a rat in a cage, to be honest.
But Jim Montgomery's not going to know those songs, and he's not going to be able to sing along.
That's true. That's fine.
He needs like 70s,
he
80s.
can have his own playlist. That's fine. He can just bop around. He doesn't need to be a sad boy.
Yeah.
Jim Montgomery doesn't need a sad boy playlist. He can just live his best life, and that's fine.
Yeah, he just needs like ABBA or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll make him like an 80s greatest hits. It'll be cool.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Lightning, their self-care task is to do what all Florida men must do and retreat into the swamp.
Oh, I thought it was leave Florida. No, Florida man. Yeah.
Yep. Nope. They just need to retreat into the swamp, commune with the gators, just like become self-sufficient. And I don't know.
It's going to make them more like the Panthers, though.
Well, yeah, they need to do that if they're going to beat the Panthers.
Yeah.
Because, like, they're allegedly rivals, but Matthew Tkachuk's like, I don't even know if I'd call us rivals, because, like, that's how much they look down on the Lightning.
That is a pretty good slam.
It's pretty devastating.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they need to go into the swamp and, like, become one with the swamp.
Just load them up on a bus and drop them off somewhere along Alligator Alley.
Yep. Take them to the Everglades, and whoever comes back gets to be on the hockey team.
Yeah. Take them to the place where that guy makes photographs. His
Clive Butcher.
Huh? Clive yeah,
Butcher.
Be like, hey, we're stopping at Clive Butcher so you can look at some art, and then the bus just drives off.
And then they just have to figure it out. And then that takes us to our last eliminated team, which is the Ottawa Senators. So I just think they could use a nice vacation. Like, for them, just getting to the playoffs was like a pretty nice treat.
Yeah.
And there's going to be all these empty houses in Tampa with the Tampa players in the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
So the Senators can just come down, have a little Florida vacation, and then Brady will be really close to go see his brother play in the playoffs. So, yeah, they could just have a little Florida vacation.
Just verbo it up or whatever.
Just verbo it up in the Tampa players' houses while they're in the swamp.
Whatever it is they do.
Yeah, a little Airbnb.
That's what I was trying to think of. All I could come up with was verbo. So
I mean, they're both the same kind of. So anyway, that's my theory on what these eliminated teams should be up to right now.
I think that's pretty good. I think the Montreal players would enjoy just a house on the water in Tampa.
The Ottawa players.
Oh, geez. See?
You cannot keep them straight.
I can't keep them straight no matter what I do.
No.
Ottawa and Montreal, same teams to me.
I got all excited because I thought you were co-signing the Montreal players getting in a time machine.
Oh, I'm always co-signing people getting in a time machine.
Yeah, it's never a bad idea.
Yeah.
Nothing could ever go wrong with that.
No, absolutely.
All right. That's going to be the end of regulation for this week's episode of Ice is Slippery. You can find us on Tumblr, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Instagram at IceIsSlipperyPod. You can also email us at IceIsSlipperyPod@gmail.com, where we would love to get suggestions for games and hear your hockey hot takes. Until next week, stay out of the penalty box.